You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Our show is all about being a rebel with a cause. So I'm really attracted to entrepreneurs who are rule breakers, rebelpreneurs. And then there are people that take it to an even deeper level, and they bring that rebelpreneur mindset to their business and to their professional practice. I'm speaking specifically of the rebel therapist who is joining us on today's program, Annie Schuessler. She is a business coach and the host of the Rebel Therapist podcast. She's been a therapist in private practice for over 17 years and a business coach for 9 years. With her Rebel Therapist program, she helps therapist entrepreneurs make an impact beyond the therapy room. Annie, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Thank you. It's fun to be talking to another rebel.
Yeah, I think we are both really on the same page as far as stepping outside the box and doing business a little bit differently from the way maybe we have been taught to do the business. You have been pioneering in this area for many years. On your website, you talk about some of the struggles that you have with mindset and money and turning your passion into a business. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started in therapy and then what made you transition over into the Rebel therapist.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So I got started as a therapist because I just always loved having deep conversations with people and helping people through their problems. And I was kind of just a natural therapist. It felt like an inevitable thing to happen. And so I was in private practice for several years and helping a lot of couples and individuals work through their personal problems. And then I started to feel constricted. I started to feel like there was actually more, that I loved my therapy work, but there was actually more that I wanted to do. And as you may know, definitely therapists listening know, there are a lot of rules to being a therapist that are there for good reason, but it also means that when you want to get creative with your work, when you want to start serving people in different ways, you really need to go beyond the therapy room and figure out how you're going to do that. And you have to, be innovative and creative in that process. So for me, that was about business coaching, that I discovered I could use my therapy skills, my listening, my understanding, my ability to help people work through problems. I could take those skills and I could actually help other therapists grow their businesses. So that's what I started doing 9 years ago. And it's been incredibly rewarding and fun for me.
Very interesting. And as I said, you mentioned on your site some of the struggles that you had in that transition. And I think that really speaks to some of the same struggles that a lot of rebelpreneurs have around mindset, around money, struggling because you don't know how to take the thing you're passionate about and turn it into a profitable business. And there's all kinds of mindset work that has to happen so that we can do that effectively. What were some of the key distinctions you had to make as you were overcoming that struggle and going on not just to build a practice for yourself, but to help other therapists as well?
Yeah. So for me, and for a lot of people who I work with, because I help a lot of therapists move beyond the therapy room. So I help people build their practices, but I mostly focus on helping them create businesses beyond the therapy room. So some of the things that come up for them and definitely came up for me in that transition was feeling like, all right, I've got all this training. I'm making a great living as a therapist in private practice. I'm doing things kind of the way that I'm supposed to. It's really scary to then break out of that. There's a certain kind of, you've heard of golden handcuffs. When things are going well, when you're doing what you're kind of supposed to do and it's working out for you, it can be scary to do something else.
Right.
So for me, there was this one really pivotal conversation where I was talking to my wife about this, and I was telling her, and I was actually starting to tear up as I talked to her about it, that even though things were going so well, and I am the main breadwinner in my family, so, my need to bring in an income was really important. So I started to cry as I talked about how even though things are going so well, I don't feel completely fulfilled. I don't feel like I'm doing everything that I'm meant to do. And so I was dealing with this kind of fear of going in a new direction and this sunk cost anxiety. Like, I have put so much into this education, this experience, this training, and building up a reputation. Is it really okay for me to go in a new direction after having put so much into this? So, I'm really lucky that what she said was, life is short. We've got to get you doing what you really want to be doing. So she completely encouraged me. And that was a big part of how I moved through that mindset issue of having fear of going in a new direction. And that's what I help a lot of my clients with too, is it's great that things are going well for you in private practice. But if there's something more that you're meant to be doing, it is really okay to take a risk and go in a new direction.
And that really is, I think, speaking to the heart of what it means to be a rebelpreneur. And in your case, you became a rebel therapist. You're the host of the Rebel Therapist podcast. And all of that was possible because you asked, what else is there? How much farther can I go with this? And listening to your heart and following that. And I think that has broad application to any business, any profession that we want to engage in. Doing it the way everyone else is doing it is going to get you the same result that everybody gets. And if that's not the result that you want, if that's not going to light your fire and make you really passionate, then it's time to ask these questions of yourself and to launch out and to go further. And so, you've been doing that successfully. You're helping other people to do that. Is there a common problem or an obstacle or a kind of a universal challenge? And I guess fear, that might be too easy of a thing. All of us experience fear. But beyond that, is there a common obstacle that you see with the people that you're helping, trying to get them from where they are to where they want to be?
Yes. And so there are very particular fears that come up and a few other things. So people are afraid of being judged by their colleagues. And I think it's exactly what you said. If you do what everyone else has done, if you do what you've already been doing, you're not going to get new results. But it is scary to think of being judged. If I put something new out there, my colleagues in this field are going to judge me. There's also an overwhelm that comes up for people when you're stepping into, the online business world. There is a huge learning curve, and it's different than setting up a brick and mortar business. So people just hit this spot where they realize how much they don't know, and they don't know where to start. And if they have the guts to try it and get something going, let's say someone puts together a workshop or an online course and it doesn't work right away, they don't get people purchasing right away, they often take that as a sign that they don't have what it takes and they turn back. So people compare themselves to others. They look at people who already have a track record because they already went through those early failures. Yeah. But they don't see what those people have been through. They just see where they are now. So that is really a moment that a lot of people, pretty much everyone I have worked with, hits.
And what is so profound about this is you can be very gifted and very experienced, at what you do, whatever your gift and your skill is. But that is a different skill set and a different giftedness than the skill and the gift of being able to then take what you do, communicate it to other people, and create a business that delivers that consistently to people, either online or offline or both. But that's actually another learning curve. It's like you're starting over all over again, and you don't know where to go. And I could see where that would be very overwhelming to people.
Yeah, it's really true. If you're a therapist in private practice, you can, and I'm sure there are a lot of professions like this, people know what that is. And so that helps. People know when they're looking for a therapist. They know when they're looking for a dentist, right? Yeah. And so even if that therapist or that dentist or that lawyer doesn't have incredible messaging, they may be able to still fill their practice. But when you're creating something new, you actually have to be very clear on what you're doing, how it helps people, so that the people who you can help are going to immediately understand what transformation is possible in working with you.
Very true.
Yeah, there's a learning curve to that. Absolutely.
So in helping people to get over this fear of judgment, fear of overwhelm, and I think probably also part of it is fear that I'm not good enough, especially when you get that feedback, or even worse, crickets. Right? You put something out there and it's like, okay, here's my life's work that I'm putting out, and nothing, no likes, no follows, and worse, no purchases. And then we look at someone else, and especially in the internet marketing space, where it seems like everyone is making, $1 million an hour except for you, right? So what's wrong with me? Well, how do you take someone from that state of mind? What are some things that they can begin to think about, or maybe to take action on, that would help them to move in the right direction and overcome these fears?
That's a great question. So the first thing is to take on a mindset of experimentation, that even if they have been a successful therapist for 10 years, it's time to get back into an experimentation mindset, that this is a new project they're taking on, and to start getting ready for some frustration tolerance and looking at this as a bunch of different experiments. They're going to look at what's the niche that's going to work with this new part of my business. And instead of expecting to get it right in the first moment, they're going to think of this as the first of many experiments. And it's really important at this point also to get into a community and find people who have already done this, have already succeeded at this, to find a mentor or a coach. That makes a really big difference. And to set aside time blocks where you are going to think of this new experiment, this new business, this new project as something that you're going to spend some hours on every week, and you're just going to put that into your calendar and really stick with it.
So there is no quick fix or instant results. This is going to be a process of experimentation, a learning curve, trying and failing, but being consistent and learning as you grow, and then discovering what works for you.
Absolutely. When I start working with people, I want them to set a goal of making, with their new business, making $20,000 or more in the first year. And so some people might say, well, if I'm a therapist in private practice, I'm already making way more than that. But what we're talking about is that first 20K in your new business. And so what I've found, I'm sure you've noticed the same thing, is that 20K is the very hardest 20K that they will ever make in this new business. So the experiments that they're going to do to really get that niche right and really get that offer right and their messaging right, that's going to lead to the 20K, which then they're going to be able to double and triple and, really just blow past.
Yeah.
So that's a really important thing I want people to step into whenever they get started on this.
Yes. And once they dial that in, then they can duplicate that process and they can experience that growth. How would working with someone like you, although there are no shortcuts to success, we can maybe speed up that learning curve by working with someone who specializes in getting us from point A to point B. How would working with someone like you really improve their chances for success?
One thing is it really decreases that learning curve. So I've seen a lot of people work through this process. And so I know what questions people need to ask themselves and what experiments people need to do to find the right niche and the right offer. And as we know from people like Brian Clark of Copy Blogger, if you get that niche and that offer right, that's 80% of what you have to figure out. Yeah. The other 20%, the marketing, I can teach them that too. But I like to really, in the beginning, focus on getting the niche right and the offer right so that they don't have to have as many failures in the beginning. They don't have to take 5 years to get to the right niche. Yeah. So we just really speed up that process.
So in your case, as a therapist entrepreneur, what are some examples of niches that you would tend to focus on or help your clients to pay attention to?
Well, the things that they want to pay attention to is this an identifiable problem that this person is already seeking help for? They've already tried some things and they haven't found those things useful yet. That's going to be a much easier niche than trying to convince someone, hey, this will help you. This will make your life better.
Or here's a problem that you don't know you have. Let me convince you that this is a problem. That's tough.
Yeah, that is a lot of work. So some examples are, a wonderful woman I've worked with, April Harder, has created an anti-racism program where, she's a Black woman. She helps white people become less racist by figuring out what their unconscious patterns are.
Do white people actually pay for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. There are a lot of people who are really committed to becoming less racist, becoming more anti-racist, and don't know where to start, don't know how.
That's incredible. That's incredible because I'm thinking, someone listening and they're thinking, well, I don't know if people would actually pay for the expertise or if they would actually pay me to teach them how to do this. And here's an example of white people actually paying a Black person to teach them how not to be racist. I mean, if she can do that, what is your excuse, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's mind blowing to me that someone is doing that successfully. That is an awesome testimony.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's definitely part of a community. There are other, anti-racism coaches, but she works in a really special, unique way. And she, just like everybody who I work with, tested her idea, tested it out to see how people were responding and then moved forward. Another one is a woman, Becky Sherman, who helps people complete their dissertations. She helps women complete their dissertations. And she's a psychologist herself. And so she's able to bring those, just like all my clients, those skills as healers to the work. But also that is a concrete problem that people know they have. So she's been able to really build her community as well.
Wow. What a powerful life lesson and also a great marketing lesson to help people solve problems that they know that they are struggling with. And you're not trying to persuade or convince them that they need help. They already know it. And you're just stepping in and you're helping them to fill the gap and to meet a need that they have already identified. What a powerful, that right there, that is the whole show. If you take nothing else away, take that away to solve problems that people already know that they have. That is so powerful. Annie, what are you working on right now that's got you really excited that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I'm really excited that I have developed a workshop that is called the Rebel Therapist 2-day workshop, where I have boiled things down. I work with a very small group of people in each one of these 2-day workshops. And we walk through what we just talked about. We walk through identifying what is the niche that, the problem and the group of people that you're really going to be successful with. And what is the first offer that we're going to test? And then we begin to take the first steps in actually making that happen. So over 2 days, people are able to really get clear on their vision and start taking action. So it's been really fun.
That's exciting. And it's not theory. You're actually producing and doing something. That is so important. Is that something you offer offline or is it online?
It's online. Yeah. So
Perfect.
We meet over Zoom for 2 days. Yeah.
Excellent. So if someone is interested in reaching out to you for this or to find out more about what you do and how you can help them, what's the best way to reach out?
Go over to rebeltherapist.me and you'll see everything I have to offer, and you can check out that 2-day workshop if you think that might be right for you.
Awesome. Annie, this has really been mind-blowing. I mean, I'm just, wow, that you've really opened my mind to new possibilities, new ways of thinking and creating and connecting with people on a deeper level. Yeah, you definitely epitomize the Rebelpreneur spirit. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom you would like to leave us with?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That really means a lot. The thing I would leave you with is that if you want to create a business that really matters to you, do it. Life is short. Get support and get started. You are really worth it, and the people who need your help are really worth it.
Excellent. Words of wisdom from Annie Schuessler. She is a business coach and the host of the Rebel Therapist podcast. She is a therapist in private practice. She has been for over 17 years, and she's a business coach for 9 years. With her Rebel Therapist program, she helps therapist entrepreneurs make an impact beyond the therapy room. And you can find her podcast and other resources that we discussed at rebeltherapist.me. Well, Annie, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. Thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.